Double9 radio station playing the best Afro beats 24/7, broadcasting online across the UK and worldwide. Do tell a friend to tell a friend. Double9Radio.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Double9Radio. It's 1906 06 076 2023. You can already tell. I think I'm a bit nervous, but you know what? I'm going to try and hold it together for you, ladies and gentlemen, because this amazing guy here is giving me the goosebumps already, mate. You know what I mean? We have the one and only. I can't wait to say his name, but you know what? I'll let him introduce himself as well. Welcome. Who do we have on Double9Radio today?
Hi, Double9. Hi, good evening. It's Solomon Buchi here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Why did you not just introduce me by yourself?
I know, Solomon. I mean, I wanted to hear that voice again. Ladies and gentlemen, to hear that voice. You know what I mean? It's got a deep, very wide voice there as well. What can I say? Solomon, welcome to the show today. It's amazing to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely
on Double9Radio.
amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. And thank you for coming to the studio as well. It's amazing to have you live and direct as well here in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier as well, the show is always interactive, so you can always be part of the show and call us. The number is 074 956 36899. You can call us direct on the number, send a text or WhatsApp, or call by WhatsApp as well. But if you're calling from out of the UK, all you need to do is just add +4474 956 36899. So let's get right into it, Solomon. Again, I want to say a big thank you for coming to the studio today to have a conversation about you. You know, I'm excited. I mean, I've read a bit about you online, listened to a bit of your TED Talks as well.
Yeah.
And I've been blown away. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, where is this guy? Where have you been? Do you know what I mean? But it was amazing. A big shout out to Debbie, who introduced us. That's the Debbie, the amazing gospel singer as well, who said, you know what, Double9, you need to speak to Solomon. And I couldn't be, grateful enough as well. But anyway, let's get right into it. Solomon, if anyone's asked you the question, who is Solomon? What would you say?
Very interesting question. Solomon Buchi, I'm actually a writer, a speaker, TEDx speaker, a life coach, a social commentator, and a Christian, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just all. Just a young man sharing his views and perceptions about life.
Amazing. I love that. Just a young man sharing his views about perception about life. And that's very key, you know, because everyone has got a perception. Do you know what I mean? What is your perception? Are you confident enough to share your perception to inspire people, or whatever it is? Are you confident enough to just share what your thoughts are? And Solomon is someone who's so confident in doing that as well. I mean, what inspires you, Solomon?
I think that there is a need to have conversations, right? Just like Double9 actually, like you do here, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there is a need for us to have conversations, for our convictions to be challenged.
Amazing.
Right? Because how do you know why you believe in what you believe in if it doesn't face opposition? Right. So, and especially obviously like in the pluralistic, society that we live right now, where, everyone's got their own idea of how things should be. I think that there is that need to actually, set the tone for how things should ideally be, and not just, us living in a world of just self-freedom, basically very disastrous.
Okay. So your inspiration is, being able to be impactful.
Exactly.
With your words, have a mindset change.
Exactly. A cultural shift.
Okay. Well, that could be quite a challenge sometimes, because a lot of people have, certain perceptions, as we mentioned earlier as well.
Exactly.
And it's hard to maybe shift that mindset, which we see on social media as well. I mean, growing up, what was it like growing up for you? I mean, you grew up in Nigeria, I presume.
I grew up in Nigeria.
In Lagos, the great country, yes.
Yeah, not in Lagos exactly.
Not in Lagos, okay.
Yeah, but in the southern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up there. With my dad, my mom, and we had a very nice family. So, yeah. Grew up in Nigeria.
Amazing. I mean, so if you look back at your childhood growing up, is there anything in particular that stands out for you that's that amazing memory that made you think, what, when I grow up, I want to be impactful with my voice?
There wasn't anything naturally specific, that happened, but there was just like this hunch and a gut feeling that my voice needs to be heard.
Wow.
From the age of 14, I just had a level of consciousness and awareness that, you are going to speak with your mouth and you're going to write with your hands. I just knew. I don't know.
Amazing.
God, I think, is the God factor.
It is as well. And also a big thank you to your parents as well, because I think the upbringing you had encouraged that within yourself? Because if we look at, not being controversial on this, is just my perception, as we say, sometimes when we look at African, homes, there's this always fear instilled in the child in not being able to speak up and actually share your own views on how you think. Do you know what I mean? So there's always this, no, you don't say that, no, you don't think like that kind of thing. I think that's quite amazing as well. And I see where that, confidence is coming from to, what, I want to push myself and make things happen. I mean, you describe yourself as a life coach.
Yeah.
I mean, what is a life coach?
A life coach is basically someone who he's just in between you and where you want to be.
Wow.
Yeah, not a therapist.
Okay.
Not a psychologist.
Wow.
Because sometimes people actually use them interchangeably, but they are not the same.
Wow.
So a life coach basically puts you in between, or is in between, or helps you to find the clarity that you seek. But he helps you, leads you to yourself.
Amazing.
Because we have the answers.
Amazing.
Many times it's just being warped by, preconceived notions, limiting beliefs, and all of that stuff. So
I couldn't agree more. I think everyone needs a life coach, because I love the way you just described that, that limiting factor, limiting belief, things around you, not being able to, expose what your full potential is, because of what you experienced your childhood and how you grew up. That's why I asked you the question.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
what the child was like. Do you know what I mean? And that gave me an insight into, what kind of childhood you had, which encouraged you not to be timid, but to express yourself without any fear kind of thing, which I think is quite amazing. I mean, now I want to go to a couple of things you've done. You mentioned a TEDx speaker as well. TEDx, amazing platform as well. Hopefully the Double9 will get invited there one day. Who knows?
Yes,
That's why I'm so, what can I say? Not paranoid, but, I'm taken back with a superstar in front of me here today as well. I mean, one of the talks you made on TEDx, which was Patriarchy, Rest in Peace. I mean, that took me by surprise. I'm like, wow, it was good to hear your perspective, but there's certain things in there. I thought, okay, I need to just ask questions about it. But for anyone that doesn't know or understand that talk, just summarize that Patriarchy, Rest in Peace. What did you mean by that?
Patriarchy, Rest in Peace was actually my TEDx, speech, basically addressing the system that oppresses women. It's quite institutionalized, it's quite cultural, it's quite societal, and that system ought to die, basically. So that was basically what I was trying to communicate, that we need a system, we need a society that is very inclusive and that takes women in. Basically, I was advocating for gender equality.
Amazing.
That's it.
Okay. Gender equality. I mean, it's such a big word, because with gender over here in the UK now, we have different forms of gender, which we're not actually going to go into, because if I decide to go into that, I'm telling you, we're going to be here for the whole day, kind of thing. But I mean, it's good because Africans don't really understand that gender equality thing. I think. I mean, I stand corrected before you come for me. Yeah, please, I stand corrected. But a lot of things, the household, for example, the male is seen to be the provider. The male is seen to be the one that has, all the, should I say, authority within a household. Maybe good or bad, I don't know. It might work for other people as well. But there's something you mentioned in there, which you mentioned masculinity can be a form of danger to women.
No, are you sure?
Yes, I'm very sure. I made that note because I said, wow, okay. I'm quite sure, but I think what you meant was that people, especially men, who want to impose their authority on women, can be quite harsh about it because of the background they come from. Okay. If I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, I would have to go. I think that speech is actually almost 3 years now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, almost 3 years now, and some things have actually changed anyway.
Okay.
With some of the things I said in the speech, but the central theme of the talk is actually still very constant, which is gender equality.
Yeah.
However, with masculinity being a threat to women, I don't think so. I think that it is toxic masculinity.
Okay.
That
clarity.
Is a threat. Exactly. That is a threat to women. So, for example, we have privilege as men. We can't lie. you know, I can actually jog down the road. Like I could just jog down the road, maybe probably around, 10 or 11 or 12. Yes, it's dangerous, but it's more dangerous for a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see things like that,
Mm.
right? So I think that these are like examples that I'm giving. There are privileges that we actually enjoy. A man is going to do something that is violent, and it's actually blamed on his nature. Oh, this is how men are. Boys will always be boys.
Let me be controversial quickly.
Okay.
On that point you made, that yes, you're right. There's people would make excuses for men, say, yeah, it's because he's a man. For instance, I mean, not to be too controversial here, before my men come for me. You have indicate, where men would want to date multiple women, for instance. It's like, yeah, that's men's nature, kind of thing. But when women maybe throw tantrums, do we make excuses for them and say, it's fine, it's because she's a diva, or because she's female? Does that also apply to this?
No, I don't think that. To be honest, I think that both genders actually have their privileges, right?
Okay.
So this privilege it's not actually exclusive to men.
Okay.
But there is a kind of privilege that men actually have.
I agree.
That is much more institutionalized than women's, right? So obviously women actually do have privileges. Women have pretty privilege, right?
Yes.
Women have the privilege to actually act up in certain ways, and they say, oh well, it's a woman, so you need to understand, right?
Okay.
And that comes from a place of just seeing them as, yeah, it's not that deep, it's not. So so to your question, I don't know if I've answered your question.
You have, but it's a balance, isn't it? As you mentioned, every gender has his own privilege, kind of thing, but there's a focus on the men privilege. Are we saying that men's privilege sometimes overshadows a woman's privilege? Because I love the example you gave about a woman going out at 10 p.m. at night and trying to jog. Yes, it's more dangerous for a woman because of society. I don't know, the perception of society, or a man could just calmly feel he has entitlement to come and talk to you, or pull you or hold you. But it wouldn't be the same for a man. I understand that. But do we say it's because you mentioned as well, which I love the fact of, you mentioned the social cultural conditioning type thing. Can you elaborate on that point you made on TEDx?
Yeah, so social cultural conditioning, what I mean by that is basically the social and the cultural factor of how we were actually brought up, right? So obviously, as an African, as a Nigerian man, there is a way that we've been brought up.
Yeah.
So you see that in a family setting, a father is actually telling the daughter, don't talk to your brother that way, even when the brother was actually being disrespectful at first. And he's saying, don't talk to don't talk to your brother that way. He's a man. In fact, next time she talks to you that way, beat her. And things like that. We start to basically, feeling the ego, and just caress the ego of these young men. And they grow up to become, men who are very entitled, men who basically believe that they have all of the autonomy to do anything that they want to do as long as women are there.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, it's wonderful that we have an individual like yourself who's able to come from a different perspective and can be very vocal and not worry about. I'm sure you had a lot of attacks on social media and people disagreeing or disagreeing with you and saying, why would you say that? Men are meant to be the man of the house. I can tell her what I want to do, kind of thing. I mean, everything is changing, isn't it? There's a change, there's an evolution going on. With social media, with people engaging, back and forth, kind of thing. But looking at social media, not putting it to a particular type of social media. I mean, what impact do you think social media has on relationships or the mindset of individuals? Across, let's say, across the globe, kind of thing.
The social media is very powerful. If I actually studied journalism, so I know the power of the media.
Pressure, mate. You just gave me pressure there, but
yeah, I studied journalism, so I know, at least I know the bullet theory in mass communication. Basically, like, media messages are like bullet, like it just gets into you. And obviously there are other theories. I don't want to get into that, but then social media is powerful because if you walk into a room and we have about 30 young people, right?
Yeah.
And there is actually a TV there, you would find out that 90% of them will be fiddling their phones.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and most of the times they're actually on one social media platform or the other. And and I think that the way social media actually influences us is that many times the things that we read and we view and we watch, we don't know that they're actually sipping into us. And the problem again is that, especially on Twitter, please, I need to call that one, especially on Twitter, I think that people actually misconstrue articulation for sensibility. So someone who's a great writer, who's a great orator, can actually come and articulate absolute nonsense, absolute rubbish. And because of that, and because of how impressionable people are, and because of the gaps that have not been filled from their, from the family, right? So I think that people who get easily, what's it called? Influenced.
Yes.
Exactly. Easily influenced into negative vices that we see on social media are people who were not parented well. Right? So you see people, you see young girls, for example, who start going naked on social media. That's not how they were groomed.
Yeah.
That's not how they were trained, right? But because it is what's in vogue,
in vogue, isn't
exactly. It's like what's happening right now. So well, anyway, I can actually put my body out there. I'm going to get likes and comments. So there is that. With our generation, yeah, we are actually pursuing like dopamine hits with likes and comments. And there is a study that shows that social media is actually linked to, or social media validation of some sort is actually linked to anxiety and depression. Because take away all of the likes, a lot of people's esteem will go down, right? And obviously it's the same for men too. So women don't come for me and say, oh, you're only using us for example. Exactly.
Yes.
Even for the men too, they come and they say all sorts of immoral and immoral things, and boast about very debasing and depraving things that they do, and they find it very funny, and young people on these platforms actually learning from them and gleaning from them. So social media is a great tool, but whatever, a gun is a tool for protection,
correct, yeah,
in the hand of a policeman, right? Ideally, right?
Yeah, ideally that has to be yes. Yes.
But in the hand of a thief, it's a tool. Exactly. So I don't think social media is the problem. People are the problem.
People are the problem. I mean, I love the fact, the amazing examples you gave there, which is quite true. You have a lot of, females who go online now and seem to, dress a bit scantily and, just to get those likes and stuff. But I always wonder, but as a social commentator yourself, I always wonder that when did it change? Because when social media came out, it was all about, spreading information. It was all about, trying to find your friends, especially Facebook was the most, common, should I say, social media platform then.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now you have, Twitter, you have Instagram, and now people seem to, find it quite easy to go naked on that. I mean, from your, thought or perception, I mean, what do you think changed in between when social media was launched? What happened? Why did people start thinking, okay, it's okay for me to do this?
I think it's actually a matter of ideological globalization. When I think that the West is actually influencing us hugely. So before, you would have to turn on the TV, right, to actually watch a show, for example. So the stress of even turning on the whatever it is, and then the TV, and then there are your parents to actually monitor you and be like, no, turn off the TV. But now social media is literally in a very small, probably 6-inch, screen, and you're holding it there and you have unrestricted access to it, right? So that actually is one thing that really, really affects the way people actually get, influenced, because it is very accessible. And what I think actually changed is the fact that we as Africans, we start to imbibe things from the Western people, and we forget our culture, right? Now, I'm not saying that all of our cultural practices are right.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that the West is not the voice of humanity. They are not the ones to tell us what is right or wrong. we have our culture, right? And obviously, as a Christian right now, I'm speaking in the capacity of a Christian, right? I think that a lot of people want to appeal to the herd mentality so they will be cheered. You know, it takes a lot for you to stand out
Amazing.
because you refuse not to compromise.
Wow.
So you see a lot of young women, you know, or some young women, let me use the word some before they say a lot of, you know, anyway. But you see some young women actually, you know, they go naked, you know, they post thirst traps, you know, and they say, oh, it's all about confidence. No, posting your nude pictures, it's not empowering. It doesn't give you any sense of empowerment. It is just a facade. It's just a lie. It's just what it is like. And we've seen this over time, time and time again. You see women who've done these things for years who actually come out and say, well, you know what, yeah, I regret, you know, actually doing stuff like that. So I just think that, yeah. And then I also think that there is an uprise in transactional relationships.
Say that again, mate. Say that again. Upright is in transactional, relationships. I would agree. I mean, we've had loads of individuals who've called in and shared their experiences. I mean, I shared an experience with you before we came online, became live, about the individual who met a girl online. He's taken her out on the first date. They've been talking about 2 weeks before then.
No.
He took her out on the first date. The date went okay, and the second day, the lady sending him a message saying, send me some money. I want to go out to a party. But I'm thinking to myself, what is happening here? Is this what's happening out there? But trust me, the society is going that way. It's going that way. I think social media is eroding values of individuals.
Absolutely. And because it's actually eroding, values, and the left and the liberals are like taking over. That is why we need people who, especially as a Christian, I actually carry that on my chest really well because I'm actually a Christian and my values are from, my following of the Christian, gospel, right? And especially as a Christian, there is a need for us to be loud. We need to be loud. We need to stop being conservative in our expression. I'm not saying we should be disrespectful. I'm not saying that we should be rude or we should be brash. But what I'm saying is that we need to actually keep on saying, because here is the way it works. The agenda is talk about it, show it to them, describe it to them, and somehow they will imbibe it. Yeah. So there is a need for us as young people, young Christians. You need the courage, right? Confidence. Go out there, say what is right to do. Say what is right to do, because they are taking over all the industries. They are taking over people, and and then this whole what's it called, stand culture is not helping. Because when they are standing someone who's obviously in the wrong, somehow their emotions actually override their sense of, logic, or their sense of, basically thinking. And they can't actually decipher that, well, this person is wrong. So because of that, there's just been a lot of conflating, oh, this is my faith, so whatever this person does is right. You can never be wrong in my eyes. So they want to copy their lifestyles, and they forget that there is real life and there is Hollywood life.
Thank you. Thank you. Because a lot of people will look at, social media and think it's real life. It's actually a facade. You said it earlier as well. That it's non-existent as well. But I want to quickly take you to one of your tweets you done on the 6th of June, 2023, which is not too far away. I'll read it out. You said, women who are loyal exist. Women who will hold it together with you through thick and thin exist. Women who don't need money. Wow, I want to make some of them. But want your love and focus to build a beautiful family exist. Women who aren't overly materialistic, really, exist. Wow, okay. Women who are okay to be there in your little days exist. Do they? I don't know. They really exist, Solomon says. But you are looking for Cardi B. Yes, everybody's looking for Cardi B on social media with a touch of Chioma Jesus as well. Yes, I mean, do they exist? I don't know. But you say that's the problem. If you want a woman with good virtues, she wouldn't dress like Cardi B. Choose a side and stick to it. I mean, give us a bit of insight into your mind and your thinking when you put that out.
So basically, thank you so much. That tweet, I really like that tweet. So you see a lot of men actually come online to say stuff like, oh, well, forget about 2023 women, these millennials or these Gen Zs rather, they are all for the money and everything. And I get that. However, there are actually women who are still very virtuous. There are women who are not materialistic, unnecessarily materialistic, by the way. There are women who don't
There's a
necessarily
caveat on that one. Yeah.
yeah, there are women who don't need your money. But the problem that we have as men, or that they have, because already I'm married and happily so, but that they have as men, is that many times men want baddies with good morals. And it doesn't work that way.
Sounds like an oxymoron. Can that ever happen? It doesn't even go together.
No, it doesn't go together. You want someone who dresses, who is quote unquote, like Cardi B, and you get what I mean by that, by perception and and basically, what she puts out there. And then you want someone who's like that to be virtuous and to be God-fearing at the same time. It doesn't work that way. If she will be God-fearing, then she wouldn't look like Cardi B, right?
Yeah.
She wouldn't look like Cardi B. So I think that men want to have their cake and eat it. Some men, right? Anyway, want to have their cake and eat it. So there are serious women out there who are ready, but a lot of, and by the way, I'm not saying this to say that good women are ugly.
Exactly.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that there is an obsessive attention on certain parts of a woman's body, which we know by men, that I'm like, are you getting married to this part of this woman's body, or are you getting married to her? What exactly do you want? So when men say things like that, I'm just like, you are confused.
Yeah.
If you want Cardi B, then you want Cardi B attitude. If you want a Christian woman who's decent, then you can't be telling her, oh, well, you need to act like this and then be like that. Everything has to be consistent, basically.
You're quite right. I mean, it all comes back to social media again, isn't it? Because this is the perception. You have to be with a man. My man has to take me to some 5-star holiday. He has to do this. He has to do that. And all of that. It takes you back to another tweet you put out there as well. It's sad to see that in our generation, man who has a job that can pay his basic bills is considered broke. I mean, that's almost like, because you can pay your bills, but you can't take me out to a 5-star restaurant. But the thing in society now is social media is just creating a perception that individuals can afford certain things. But actually, no, I think the thing is they don't understand the difference between being affordability and being able to buy. Anyone can buy anything, especially, with the credit facilities available.
Exactly.
But affordability means that you can afford it without thinking about, oh my God, how am I going to pay that? So a lot of people live a life of falsehood. Let's put it, there's a falsehood and say, okay, I can do this, I can do that, but it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And get themselves into trouble and look for the Cardi B you mentioned as well, which is quite shocking. But I want to bring you back again. You know me, I always bring you back to some of the tweets you put out there. So because people are going to say, Double9, you are not so hard on Solomon. Why? Is he your mate? Yeah, he's my mate, but you know what? I'm going to be hard on my mate as well. He said, in 2019, October 2022. I know. He's looking at me and saying, Double9, why would you go that back? What can I say?
No.
What can I say? You said in a tweet you put out, you said, I can't date a woman that earns less than 250K a month. I am a high maintenance man. Yes, mate, he's a high maintenance man. If you see him in the studio, trust me. Oh my gosh, his garms. I think it's cost about £10,000. But we were out. There's gonna be a recording of this amazing interview on our YouTube channel as well. Watch out for that coming through. He says he's a high maintenance man. He's a king. I deserve better. Any woman that's earning less than 250K has no business being in love with me. What's a broke woman looking for in a relationship? No love for broke women. I know people will think, but this is a guy that talked about, loyal woman. I mean, tell me, Solomon, tell me, what was that tweet about?
Oh, Double9. Well, you're actually not putting me on the spot, because that tweet is very, very sarcastic, right?
Right.
That's basically reverse psychology. So basically what I was trying to do is to make women actually understand how silly the sound actually.
Okay.
When they say things like that.
I'm breathing now, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. So when they say things like, oh, I can't date a guy who's actually earning, for example, let's take the UK here, for example, right? Someone who's actually earning, let's say, probably 28K, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, I can't date a guy who's earning anything less than 150K a year. And and I'm like, do you understand what's the statistics saying about when people earn that amount of money in the UK? Do you see what I'm saying? Now, taking it back to Nigeria, less than 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 in
Mm.
naira in their account number. Sorry, in their bank accounts, right? And then there is you who's saying, I need a man who has his own house, who's young, by the way, probably 27, but he has his own house. He has, luxury cars. He can take you on all of that stuff. It's not reasonable. It's not realistic.
Mm.
It's not realistic. So it was just the way. And obviously, I did get backlash for that. Because one thing about women is that they hate to hear that men have financial specifications.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they believe that, oh, just because I'm a woman and I'm pretty, that's all,
That's all. Yes.
By the way, some women, not all women, so they don't come for me.
I know.
Yeah. So basically, that tweet was very, very sarcastic, and it was reverse psychology.
Okay. Thank you for putting that clarity. I just want to mention, because you talked about the analogy of women would say, I can't date a man who's earning 20K or 28K. I could only go out with a guy that's earning about £150,000. But my thing with that is, do you have the mentality to date someone who's earning £150,000? Because women say, because they think a man who's earning £150,000 pounds is going to have the same mentality with someone who's earning 20K or 25K. No, because he's going to be the individual in the higher earning bracket. He's going to want to be in a certain crowd. Can you, as a woman, fit into that crowd?
Absolutely. That's the thing. So there is actually that part here that if a man is actually earning £150,000, he will actually want a certain kind of woman. And then also the women also need to understand, where will you meet such men? Genuinely, by the way, I mean men, not the ones who are earning £150,000 and just want to splurge on you because they want to get whatever they want to get for you.
Exactly.
Right? I mean the ones that actually want to settle down, that actually want to marry you, right? So those kind of men. So if you are earning 28K, where are you going to meet them? For example, right? You guys probably don't. You guys actually don't even belong to the same status, right? So where are you going to meet them, right? And also men like that, and even when some men like that, please not all of them, even when some men like that decide to marry a woman who's earning less, sometimes it comes with privilege of control.
Correct.
Now, not all of them, please. Some of them.
I mean, you can hear his voice is not me. Don't come for me. Solomon that's saying that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, he said not all of them. Which is quite right. Not all of them. But please carry on.
Not all of them. So whenever women are saying, I want to marry up, and I have a problem with that statement. Whenever someone says, I want to marry up, what is communicating to me is that you need the help of the UN.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like you need the help of the UN, but somehow you want to make it in marriage. Like it's fine for you to actually ask for humanitarian aid, right? So when you say you want to marry up, what you're saying is that you are down. So the man will be marrying down by marrying you.
Wow.
And the thing that women don't understand, and they might actually, laugh about it, is that when a man is marrying down, an average, a typical man, a man who doesn't fear the Lord is marrying down. He's marrying down to oppress you. He's marrying down to be able to use his money and his economic status to be able to, have the say.
Correct.
And it's simple. And then you see women get into marriages like that, and they say stuff like, well, it's better to cry on a yacht than it is to, to cry on a bicycle. Things like that.
Imagine that as well. Phone lines are open. If you have the balls, my God, I apologize. I should have said that. If you have the confidence to speak to our amazing Solomon here on Double9Radio, it's 074 956 36899. Delete that last comment as well. It's 074 956 36899. We are having equality here. We're not being sexist here. What can I say? Anyway, it's all about the spice on the show today. Number is 074 956 36899. You can call us direct on our number, send a text or a WhatsApp, or call by WhatsApp as well. But if you're calling from out of the UK, all you need to do is just add +4474 956 36899. Phone lines are open. I mean, you mentioned you're married now, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long have you been married now?
Almost 6 months now.
Wow.
Almost.
Wow, 6 months as well. I mean, it's great, that you're married, that you preach, what from the Bible, and your tweets support your actions and all of that. I mean, but for you, how did you decide to get married? Because you look at all the women out there. Although I'm not going to talk about the controversial tweet you put out, maybe I'll let you relate that to yourself. You know, what was your mindset in going into marriage?
Yeah, my mindset was that, so because of my, well, just little, social media following, so I actually was spoiled for choice.
Mm,
And it was a problem. I know that might actually sound like a very good advantage for a lot of men, but it was a problem for me because like it made things difficult for me.
right.
And I think that that's actually one of the downsides of social media. It gives us an illusion of
Mm,
of options, and so you see people who easily cut off their friends, who easily cut off their relationships because they believe, oh well, there is this guy chatting me online. Because of that option mentality, multiple options, we don't put in so much work into what we have.
amazing.
So you scroll on your Instagram and you see a woman who's quote unquote, looks really nice, probably nicer, based on any
Okay.
metrics
Yeah.
than your
Yeah.
own woman, and you feel like, oh, that's okay, let me go with her and stuff. But anyway, but long story short is that, yeah, at some point I feel like I started praying to God. I'm just like, I'm ready to get married. I think that it's time for me. Just send me a wife. I actually prayed that prayer. I said, I don't want my own again. I because I know very well that if I get it wrong, or if I got it wrong with marriage, it was just going to be very disastrous for me, right? So I basically prayed, and it wasn't too long I met my amazing, beautiful wife.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think a couple of days or something. I met her in such a very, unassuming way, and basically met her, and then we started talking, and yeah, then getting into marriage. My mindset was just, two young people. I mean, we're actually young. Um, According to the world, we are young, we are old anyway. But yeah, two young people getting into marriage, understanding the God designed role,
Mhm.
in marriage. The man is actually the head, the woman actually submits, the man loves like Christ actually loved the church, the
Amen.
woman actually submits, and basically, we work as a team. I'm domesticated, I'm trying to be. I don't think I'm there
Is that
yet,
yeah?
but I'm trying to
Yeah.
be right.
Yeah.
So just understanding that marriage is between two people who want to make it work.
Amazing. I love that. I the part of the tweet you put out, the quote I'm going to take from that is you mentioned you're never going to look for perfection in anyone else.
Exactly.
I think that's mind blowing.
Yeah, but a lot of people did not read that part. They only read the first line.
That's social media for you, isn't it? They only look at the sensational part. They don't look at the true meaning of that actual tweet. I think that was mind blowing as well. Not looking for perfection in anyone else, because the thing is, I'm going to say this. I think, oh man, some of the reasons we are so out there and look at the pictures, the big backside, the front side, the side side, whatever side, is because we're looking for something which resembles some perfection of our perception. Look at my wordplay there? The perfection of our perception. But once you get to a point where you find your perfection, every other perfection doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And I love that, and I love that, you find it perfect because you make your partner that perfection you're looking for.
Absolutely. I don't know how I would have been if I didn't marry my wife.
Wow.
Yeah, because like she's such a very great support system to me. There are a lot of untold stories, that people probably don't know out there, but she's really been there for me,
Amazing.
right?
I'm sure she's listening out as well. Wifey, thank you very much for
Absolutely.
changing the mindset of this amazing guy as well. But you mentioned something about financial readiness for marriage.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of confusion, with people, because I saw some of the comments are on that, and a lot of people didn't really get what you meant. I mean, what did you mean by financial readiness?
So I think that in the generation we live in right now, a lot of people, because of the consumerist, society that we live in, people really want to make a lot of money. They want to build their house. They want to do this. They want to do that before they get married, especially men, because again, the pressure is on men to provide, right? And you see men, young men, like, and I won't say they are wasting their time anyway, but I would have really loved to say that, but I guess I've said it.
You already said it. No going back now.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see them actually just taking time just because they want to get everything right. You will never get anything done if you wait for the perfect conditions. I hate to sound like a motivational speaker because I really am not one. But basically that's just it. So I was basically saying that if you have a job
Hmm.
and that job has security, right? So it's one thing to have a good job, it's another thing to have a job that has security. And you have that job and you have a skill and you have income and you don't beg for food, you
Hmm.
don't beg to pay your rent, you don't beg to clothe yourself, then you are fine.
Amazing.
I'm not saying that's the only requirement, but if financially you are still deciding whether you should get married, but you have all of these things, you have literally marriage is cost effective when there are no babies, by the way. Yeah, when there
Yeah.
are no babies.
Yeah.
So marriage is actually, I think that marriage is cost effective because I remember in the thread that you're talking about, right? My sister once actually told me that, you know what, yeah, you actually spend more money than my husband and I. I'm like, wow, really? She said, yeah, because there is that sense of, accountability and
Mm.
responsibility.
Mm.
If I was about to blow, like, let's say, £100,
Mm.
my wife is going to be like, what do you want to do?
Exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it's just like two roommates living together.
Yeah.
You would save more money than if one of you actually decide, you know what, yeah, I'm going to rent my own apartment, and I actually decide, okay, I'm going to rent my own apartment. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is need, I think, if you have someone and you are ready emotionally, mentally, spiritually, but financially,
Mm.
you are ready if you have a job. You are ready if you have a
A
job.
job.
You
Yeah.
don't need everything.
Yeah.
You look at our parents, a lot of them never had anything. And I'm not
Mm.
saying that we need to do all of that stuff, right? Well, if you have the faith, you can. But I'm saying that if you have the basics and you look at everything, you talk about, weddings, people have so glamorized weddings where it's now like an
A
issue of
cannibal.
statement.
Yeah.
Exactly. A carnival,
You
exactly.
know.
So I was just basically encouraging fellow young people because I want to see young people get married.
Mm.
I want to see young people get married and get it right. I personally don't think that we should deliberately wait till our 40s before we get married,
Agreed.
unless there are actually circumstances, right?
Mm. Mm.
The potency of a man's, reproductive, whatever, reduces with time. Obviously, that of a woman too,
Yeah.
right? We need to be real. We need to have these conversations. So obviously, this is not putting pressure on anyone. But what I'm saying is that you don't need to make the world for you to be married.
Mm.
If
Amazing.
you have a source of income, it is enough. And if any woman actually makes you feel that you are not enough because you have a source of income that doesn't match her specification, then she should go.
And find someone else.
Exactly.
You're right. I mean, I couldn't agree more as well. I mean, you're right. A lot of people set a bar too high, and also hold back on that commitment and
Mhm.
on going forward. I know we keep talking about social media, social media, social media again because you go on social media, see this amazing wedding that people have planned and stuff like that. But the thing is, you don't even know what's behind that. A lot of people actually go into debt, planning those amazing weddings as well. Do you need an amazing big wedding? I don't know. You could get married in a registry, then plan it later on. You don't have to go into debt,
Absolutely.
to bring that amazing marriage to life as well. I mean, also, I love this other quote you said. If you're going to treat your wife well, be ready to be called a woman rapper, or you're finished man. I, you know, with that, back in the day, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, treating your woman right, it was something adored by other men. It was something adored by the society. Like, wow, he's doing this. You know what I mean? I want to be like that. How do you do it? But now it's like, yeah, he's a woman rapper and things like that. I mean, what was the mindset change? What happened? You know,
I really don't know what happened, but what I know is that any man who actually treats his wife well will be called woman rapper, right? And by the way, woman rapper is a Nigerian, slang that basically means a man who's controlled by a woman, right? And maybe because of the rise of this manosphere, alpha male, red pilled people, I think that could actually be something where you see them say stuff like, how are you going to allow your woman control you? How are you going to? No, I simp for my wife. Why will I not simp for my wife? I married her. I love her. So I'm going to simp for her. I'm going to do anything I can do to actually support her. I'm not going to belittle her, all in the name of trying to, glorify my masculinity. That doesn't make sense, especially as a Christian.
Amazing.
Whatever I do to my wife, I do to myself, because we are one, right? So I think that I said that because I want men, because there are times where you see men who don't have the courage to say the things that they've done in marriage,
Yes.
because they don't want other men to perceive them as weak men.
As a weak man, yes.
But you don't have to care about that.
No.
You don't run my family.
Exactly.
If my wife is happy and I'm happy, then, and God is happy, by the way, anyway, because it's possible for for a couple to be happy and God is actually not happy with what they're doing.
Amazing.
Right? So if I'm happy, my wife is happy, God is happy, then to God be the glory. I'm the king of simps.
You're right. You're right. I mean, for you, what's the most important thing about being married and marriage itself?
I think is getting the person right. That's the number one thing. Because your right efforts with the wrong person is rubbish.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. If you actually make effort with someone who is wrong, who cannot receive the effort and also process their own effort, then it's just like expecting an eighth from a seaport. That's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is to take your time and marry right. Then when you marry right, obviously, just because you married right doesn't mean it's going to work, automatically.
Yeah. You have to do some work as well, isn't
Exactly.
it?
So yeah, I think that you need to know God, marry right,
Yeah, I think that's the foundation, because how do you know how you're going to marry right?
Exactly.
How do you know who the right person is? Sometimes we see a lot of facade. A lot of people, there's some girls who say, "Oh, I can't go out without any makeup. I can't go out because of this," and some men, they have this ego thing as well. Are your egos compatible? Are you compatible in a way? How do you find out? I think he just said that as well. The spiritual way and knowing God is quite important as well. I mean, we've gone through a lot of things about, your thought process, things you put out on social media, how you live your life and how you got to where you are today, with your amazing wife as well, which I think is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of social media commentators always have an excuse and say, you know what, I'm not ready to do it. But you leading by example and showing that to individuals that it is possible to be, a social media commentator, be out there and have a fantastic marriage as well. But other things that people don't talk about is the mental health side of things, and I love it that you've been able to share your story and your struggles with mental health as well. You spoke about your struggles with anxiety and depression. I mean, how did you overcome that, and when did you realize that it's a problem?
Yeah, so basically I was actually diagnosed back in Nigeria of anxiety disorder, and it's one of the things that I'm actually really grateful to my wife for.
Amazing.
Because she's been a very good and a huge support system. I can't even lie. Like, imagine getting married to your trigger as someone who has a mental disorder. And yeah, it happened in Nigeria. I'm still working through it. I'm actually in therapy. I'm on medication. And the reason I say these things, I say them not because I'm trying to glorify the with my struggle, but I'm saying it because I want people to understand that they are not alone.
Amazing.
There are a lot of people. Obviously, we know how slippery the conversation of mental health can be, especially back in Nigeria, in Africa, right? Like, it's more like it's an abomination. Like, how would you say that you're having anxiety, right? But God is actually healing me. God is actually doing a great work. At least, my fear of flying, has actually reduced.
Amazing.
Certain things, but I'm still on medication, and I know that I would actually do well. But all I just want to say is that mental health is real. Right? Mental health is absolutely real. Just because you don't understand it does not mean that you should berate it, right?
Amazing.
Doesn't mean that you should disdain or you should demean it, right? It's real. Please get support. Please, churches, pastors, whoever you are, right? If you're working anywhere, make sure that you look out for the mental health of your family and friends. Check in on them. When you ask someone, how are you doing? Don't ask it out of routine. Ask it because you actually
intentional
mean,
yes.
like, how are you doing? So yeah, and I think that more people should talk about mental health. Is a very important conversation in the society, so that we get to understand that it's not just physical illnesses. We have illnesses that affect our mind.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I love the call out there. You mentioned that, you know what, in churches, in religious gatherings, you know, people should talk about these things because sometimes it's seen as a taboo when we talk about mental health. You know, within the
Absolutely.
Black culture, you think, oh my God, he's going crazy, run away from him. But no, you know, everyone suffers a form of, you know, mental challenges at some point. Everyone has been depressed at some point. It has different effects on people and how people handle it. Anxiety is something that's very common as well, but we don't pay attention to it because we don't know much about what it is as well. I mean, it's quite unfortunate. You know, we have young, you know, Africans, you know, killing themselves, you know, because of depression and not understanding what to do. Because you see someone, you mentioned that, you know, you say hello to someone and you think, okay, that's it, basically. But no, be intentional about saying that hello to that individual. And again, I must really commend you as a social media commentator who's not scared to be vulnerable and show that vulnerable side to let people know, you know what, it's real. It's something that you can talk about. If you need help, do get help. Don't be ashamed about it. Look at me, I'm doing it and I'm doing amazing. And I think that's quite great as well. I mean, you know, we talked about marriage as well. We talked about marriage. We talked about, you know, some of your social media content again as well. I mean, if anyone's listening to you right now, I think to myself, you know what, I look at social media, oh my gosh, I can't really see people get married. Or when I see them getting married, it's so like, you know, all this fancy things, you know, I don't even have the money. Although I have a job, I have income coming in as well. I really love this girl, I want to propose to her. How am I going to propose to her? How am I going to do this? What advice would you give any female or male, you know, individual listening to you right now and thinking about, you know, having that marriage mindset?
I would actually start with the male, number one, right? Don't put yourself under pressure. I actually, you know, got my wife her dream ring
Wow,
for engagement, right?
amazing.
So, like, I'm, the reason I share that to let you know that I did it because I could, not because I felt pressured to. If I couldn't afford that ring, she would have still said yes, right? Because she knows, right? So marry your person as a guy. Be with someone who knows you, who you don't have to lie that you have money for them to be fine. You know, right? So I think that you should, and we need to understand that these things are superficialities, right? Yeah, I love gold, right? Oh wow, we love good things, but at the end of the day, there is no marriage that has actually sustained, you know, the time just because of the quality of the ring,
Yeah,
right?
you said that again, yes.
Yeah, so so I think that the first thing for the man is get married or look for a woman who is family oriented, who is well parented, who has, you know, a very a very um a very nurturing mindset. Not a woman who comes into your lives who basically, you know, there are women who actually make you millionaires only when you used to be a billionaire.
Yeah, wow, yeah, yeah, you're right. You know, oh my gosh,
All right, so
that's a prayer. That amen to that. Maybe not encounter those kind of individuals.
exactly.
Do you know
So
what I mean?
women who come into your life and they add value to you, right? And I think that it's so simple. People who see marriage as a very simple thing, and when I say marriage, I'm talking about the wedding process, right? So that's it for the men. Please go for women that have sense. Go for, see, you are building a marriage, a family. You're not building what am I going to say right now? You're not building what people will be there with you, right? In the middle of the night, it's just me and my wife. There is nobody. Nobody calls us in the middle of the night. Nobody calls us to say, oh, well, you know, have you paid rent this month? I want to give you money for rent.
Yeah.
You know, it's all our responsibility. Then, number two for the women is that please have realistic expectations. I understand that women can be very sentimental, but please, you cannot open your mouth and say that you need a ring that is £5,000. You want to wear the latest ring just because your friends actually have that. Your friends, do you know who's getting married to them? You need to understand your own reality. You know the man
What
that
is your
you're
path? Yes,
exactly. You know the man that you're getting married to. You know, and then with the wedding process, I think, especially as Africans, I think that we've made it a carnival. It's so simple. You can always wed with any amount. All you need to do is tailor the wedding to your budget. Simple. So if you have 50,000 naira, or let's say if you have £2,000, you tailor everything
amazing.
into the budget.
Yeah.
Simple. You don't need, an exorbitant hall. You don't need all of that stuff. Well, it is cool and good if you can afford it comfortably. That's absolutely fine. We like finer things of life,
Of
isn't
course,
it, right?
yeah.
But if you cannot afford that, then you let it be. There is so much more. See, let me tell you, Double9, yeah. The night of my wedding, when we're done, I asked my wife, "Is that it?"
Wow.
Like,
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I was like, "So we are done.
You're done. Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we've been spending so
Time and money.
time and money. Quite a lot of money." And I'm like, "So that's it." Obviously, I don't regret,
Of course.
right? But I'm just like, it dawned on me that, wow, it wasn't like it was going to be like 3 months wedding.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one
It's
one
night.
day.
It's one day, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those things are not important. Go to the registry, tell your pastor to come and bless you somewhere. It's simple. And then as Africans, we have our tradition. Do the traditional rites. It's so simple. And you move on with your lives.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better than that. It's the pressure we put on ourselves, isn't it? A lot of things. I want to do this. I want to do that. Can you afford that? No. People go into debt because of a wedding, or it's not right. As you've heard him there as well. I mean, it's such a privilege to have had you on the show.
Thank you so much
today.
Double9.
I've had such an amazing time. I've also got a bit of insight into other aspects of society and how people think, and how certain things can be, the mindset change can happen. Hopefully we'll be able to impact one or two people listening in today as well. But before you go,
okay,
I'd like to know something. I've checked everywhere for this, and you can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. You know me, Double9. I always do my thorough checks as well. Can you tell me a fun fact about yourself that no one knows? Something that no one knows, this is exclusively live here on Double9. You can't make it up as well, because I've checked. I've made sure it is not anywhere here online. That's right. It is exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. Look, listen well.
I'm
listen
actually
good.
thinking. I'm thinking.
Tell us a fun fact about you that no one knows. Exclusively live here on Double9Radio. He's never said it anywhere before. He's about to give us the insight into this juicy,
You're putting me on the spot. I'm actually trying to think. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's making it up now. He's a journalist. Remember, he told us that earlier as well. This is what he's trying to do. He's trying to
I don't know.
into this.
I'm trying to think. A fun fact that no one knows about me. Okay, so sadly, I actually curse sometimes.
He curses, ladies and gentlemen.
Curse words.
Curse words.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes, like, if it flips out of my mouth, but then
Okay.
my wife actually helps me.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
But I think I've actually stopped.
He stopped it as well.
Not like the ones that go like, start shouting anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe let's say back in Nigeria when they take like, I'll just be like,
that kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, as a Christian, I don't think it's right.
Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. He's just give you an exclusive right here on Double9Radio as well.
Oh,
I'm so
excited.
Got your wish. I got it as well. But he said he stopped it. He used to do curse words back into the day, but he stopped it down, which is quite amazing. I mean, Solomon Buchi, the amazing public speaker.
Yeah, writer. Yeah.
Writer.
Yeah.
TEDx, wonderful, speaker as well. And he's not. Okay, I even forgot to even talk about that. The equality. What was it again? The gender equality activist. He said he's not really that anymore. He's kind of moved on from that.
No, please let me clear something.
Okay.
So the reason I don't carry gender equality on my head, I mean, I used to identify as a feminist.
Yeah.
But I actually changed.
Okay, I didn't even know that. But okay. Wow, that took me by surprise then, ladies and gentlemen. But carry on.
I used to identify as a feminist, but I stopped because you know what? Yeah, modern day feminism is actually destroying women, and just destroying the fabric of our moral compass, basically. That's what I think, and I think that it's actually changed from actual gender equality to a lot of incorporating, moral depravity that we really don't need in the society. And I dropped it, and I was just like, just going to focus on gender equality. And by gender equality, I do not mean that men and women are the same, by the way. Men and women are actually very different. However, we're identical in value, right? So a man is not superior to a woman, and a woman is not superior to a man. So that brings me to the ideology of complementing ourselves, right? And that's why God actually created us. He created us to complement ourselves.
Amazing.
Said the man is, the head, and the woman actually what helps. The woman is actually the helpmeet of the man. So what we see there is not a competition of one trying to be the other. What we are seeing is a complementary relationship, right?
Amazing.
So so that's my view of gender equality. Women ought to have the same rights and privileges that men actually have. Women ought to get the same pay. Women ought to have a voice out there. They ought to be included in politics and other areas. Basically that's it. But in marriage, gender equality doesn't come to play. So you're not equal with your husband. I mean, you are equal in the sense of you both are children of God, but your husband is your head. It's simple.
As the Bible says.
As the Bible says, exactly. And obviously what it means for a man to be the head is not for the man to be authoritative. What it means is for him to serve, just like Christ actually served.
Amazing.
Christ was a servant leader, right? He didn't lead by commanding. He led by serving. So he showed example. So as a man, for you to say that you are the leader or the head of your home, that means to say anything you're asking your wife to do, you need to be doing it.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Solomon Buchi there as well, giving us a bit of insight into how you can be a leader, but be a servant as well. You can lead from the back. You don't have to be authoritative and try and impose yourself on any form of relationship, which is very key. And I think it's quite a great way to end today's show. Solomon, it's been amazing to have you on the show today. I've had such a great time.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I want to persuade you at some point maybe to bring you back on the show, because it's going to be a great insight. I'm sure some ladies have nodded at the last comment he made there as well, that equality. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear your voice. I can even read it in my mind. Stop shouting out of his phone. I know. What can I say? We can bring it back another time again. Solomon, it's been amazing. It's been wonderful. Any words you want to say to your amazing listeners out there? Maybe the first time of people even hearing about you. Tell them about your social media and any plans you have or any talks coming up as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone, or to everyone that actually tuned into, the Double9, family, to the new people who actually listened. My socials basically Solomon B Buchi. That's on Instagram, or on Twitter, Solomon_Buchi. Both of them are actually verified. On Facebook, it's actually just Solomon Buchi. Is verified too. And that's it. I'll actually be having some interesting, probably meet and greet and some media tours here in London actually.
Okay.
Along the line, but that will be communicated explicitly.
Fantastic. Watch out. Make sure you do follow him on all the social media handles that he just announced as well. But also, we'll definitely be supporting him in putting out those meet and greet opportunities for the amazing Solomon Buchi, who's been amazing here on Double9Radio this amazing evening. But in the meantime, stay locked on, stay locked. As you know, we always got some amazing vibes coming your way on the midweek show here on Double9Radio. It's been amazing. It's been wonderful. We'll be right back after this.